Calypso by David Sedaris. And why is this book so controversial? Taking into account that David Sedaris is just, he's very sarcastic. He makes fun of himself, of situations. Well, in the book, he mentions the death of his sister Tiffany, who died at age 49, and she unalived herself. And the way he portrays the sister is not as people usually tend to portray people who died young and in a dramatic way, like they were great, they had a good heart, they were fantastic. He portrays her in a very humane way, full of flaws, but he also portrays himself as a very human person, full of flaws. He kind of shows certain guilt into the way he distanced himself from his sister, how he rejected her in the last years, how they stood apart. He tells a lot of intimate things of his sister's life, and everything in the Sedaris way, so sarcastically, with irony, with humor, which is a very intense contrast, and a lot of people might say it inappropriate. But despite that, the book was received by critics with good ratings. People loved it generally, but a lot of people now hate David Sedaris because they're saying he's taking advantage of the tragedy lived by his sister. I don't know. I think that's just what he does. He just picks reality and talks about it. And I think that's fine. I know it might be complicated sometimes, but this is life. Life is messy. Life is weird. And that's what he does for a living. Maybe he's not being entirely truthful or objective because he's telling the story from his perspective. He's not saying this is how things actually happen. He's just saying this is how I live them, how I understand them. Nobody can be objective about any experience because you have your own bias, your own experience to be subjective about. That's how life is. And that's why I like David Sedaris in this book, because he's raw, he's honest, he tells it how he sees it. Even about himself, he doesn't depict himself as a great person, and he's hilarious as well. I love the book. There's a lot of topics in that book that are heavy to talk about, but I would say not only important, but just interesting to encounter in such a context that is not always about, deeply respect and philosophical, but humor. Humor is a very important aspect of humanity.